Good evening, cheeseheads. We are finally
Cheeheads.
cheeseheads. We are finally live after a slight delay to programming. This was caused by Brendan Mahuti having to run across to the refrigerator to get a very small beer. So well done, Brendan. That is now in your hand. What are you drinking tonight, mate?
Non-alcoholic Brahma. I know that's the most depressing thing in the world, but I'm doing a month without booze, so non-alcoholic beer is fine. It's actually all right.
What I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
who are you trying to convince there, Bren? Because it doesn't really seem like you mean it.
What I'm impressed about is you've made it to like the 11th and you haven't cracked yet. It's only a matter of time, isn't it? Surely, and you've got your tiny beer glass. Look at that, like you're representing. Franco's got a far more impressive glass than you tonight, I would say. Franco, welcome to the show. You all right?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, size doesn't matter, Caller. You should know that by now. Yeah, I'm good. A bit tired. Has gone a bit of a cycle earlier, but yeah, here to sort of chat all things Spurs.
Listen, if your partner has told you that size doesn't matter,
No, I was referring to you, Caller. That's what I said. You should know by now. That's the joke. Get with it.
I'm not with it. I'm not with it at all. I've had a tough day. I've been all over the Twitter sphere. I see lots of love coming for the Caller on Twitter today.
Been making lots of friends, haven't you? Lots of friends on the internet.
Winning friends and impressing people. Cheers, everybody. So we're gathered here tonight to discuss a few things. And by the way, if you're watching, please do subscribe and add your comments in the comments box as we go along. We'll try and get to yours. Any questions for the podcasters, we will get to them. So today, Spurs have issued a statement on putting a fan essentially as a non-executive director of the board. Let's start with you, Franco. First of all, what's your reaction to that statement, and have you had a chance to go over it and have a good look at it? And what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things to digest, isn't there? First of all, the fact they've finally apologised. It only took them about a month, which was, better late than never, I guess, even though it just shows that they're a little bit out of touch at the time. I think that initial statement was not good enough at all. So now it feels a little bit like they're sort of crawling back and grovelling a little bit. But it's a very Levy statement, isn't it? Like we see the annual statements that he gives us, which don't always reflect the reality that most fans see. They're kind of, it's through his eyes. But yeah, there's a few little digs at the trust, which I'm sure they won't be too happy about. But it needs to be acknowledged that at the end of the day, they are implementing one of the trust suggestions, one of the proposals they put forward.
Yeah.
And I think the fact is that the trust asked a lot. Lots of people said that's unrealistic, but that's what you do in negotiation. You ask for more than you're going to get. You don't just say, I want this, and then you probably won't get it. You ask for more, and then they might reel back. So I think it's a positive step, but I'm not getting carried away with it. And I don't really like the animosity between the trust and the club, because let's make it right. The club wanted to meet with the trust with no agenda, informally, so they couldn't report it back to anybody. So really, it was just them kind of going, come on, guys, let's just have a little chat and tell you why it isn't as bad as you make it out. Hoping maybe that the trust weren't then going to go at them, and the trust have got at them. So the club just needs to sort it out. They're all like on that board. You've got people that have worked in corporations at the highest, highest positions in these corporations, and yet they're still a bit too naive in this situation. So it's progress, but it's not as good as it could be. That's what I'd say.
And Brendan, what do you think? Just to go over that, exactly what the statement says. I'll read it word for word to you. What the statement says about the Supporters Trust. We are disappointed that the board of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust has not yet met with the club. Fair, but kind of they're doing. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, with whom we've worked and indeed promoted for 20 years, has called for the resignations of the executive board over the ESL, individuals who have lived and breathed this club for the best part of 2 decades. We've offered on several occasions to meet board to board and discuss an open agenda, excluding a change of club ownership and the resignation of the board. So basically, don't ask us about resigning and don't ask us about leaving, and we can talk about anything. And our door remains open on this. Bren, do you think, like Franco, that it's a bit of a slap in the face to the Supporters Trust? And I suppose more importantly, how do we get them talking to each other again? And who breaks first? who makes the first move? Because surely Spurs and the Supporters Trust have absolutely got to work together in the long term.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the Supporters Trust were a bit annoyed that they'd been lied to, basically. They had asked in their last meeting with the club about the ESL, saying, look, we need to be consulted about this. This is a big, big change in how we operate. You can't make this decision without consulting the fans first. And they said, we're not going to comment on hypotheticals, etc. So they basically were annoyed that they were lied to. There are some people that are now annoyed with the trust for not grabbing onto that olive branch. But why would you go into a meeting knowing that you can't trust the people that you're going to meet? So I can understand the trust. I think eventually the trust will meet with the club. They're the ones that have got to make the move. I think the club has sort of said, we're sorry, we're going back with their tail between their legs. I think that the trust will eventually meet with the club. They have to be involved in this, whoever the fan placement will be. It can't be Levy's son or wife or daughter or someone from the Tavistock group HG suggested. It has to be the THST has to be consulted in this because they are the largest fan group supporting us fans.
I mean, I'm just going to put it out there that it's been suggested on Twitter that maybe I'd like to
suggested by who?
And not me.
There's
actually.
Absolute lunatics out there, aren't there? Absolute lunatics.
There are some crazy
by you
out there. I've had at least 3 people say that'd be a great idea. Call up a president.
So look, the bitchy part of their statement that I was going to say is when they're talking about the representative, they say the selection criteria, mandate and constitution will be developed by independent advisors in consultation with fan groups to ensure it is truly representative of our fan base.
Yeah.
It's almost suggesting there that the Supporters Trust aren't. And the other thing that's interesting, because I know that the trust and all the fans in general were really unhappy that there was no consultation. And like Brendan just said, that they lied to them. They basically said there's no plans for this. But they've said in the statement, it's important to underline that we entered the ESL with the expectation, blah, 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 blah. They basically said that for legal reasons, they could not consult because of the agreement they got into. Doesn't make it right at all, does it? But no. They're basically saying, yeah, but there was reasons, guys.
I believe that legally they couldn't talk. But,
yeah, sure.
But it's more a case of, well, why were you talking in the first place? If you can see it's a terrible idea, you've acknowledged the fact that there's no promotion relegation aspect of the Super League proposal, and yet you've still gone off and done it. So it's a bit like, what? How does that work? It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Because they're trying to argue that this was just a framework and it was like an initial proposal. But as far as I understand, it was going to be implemented next season. And so they're basically assuming that they could agree all of this stuff over the summer. And I don't understand how that is even feasible. They're expecting all of these European competitions to be rearranged so that they can do the ESL. They're expecting all of the national leagues of the 4 nations involved. It just makes no sense.
It's maximum bullshit to me. But I suppose if we take the positives, like sort of Franco led in with Brent, at least they've apologised. Yeah, so maybe we can get back to that more harmonious relationship than we previously had. Is this the first step, do you think, Brendan, to quelling some of the discontent? Now, I know we've not given him massive airtime. There's a protest on the 15th, I think, outside the stadium, the club shop or somewhere.
Caller, we did a pod about it. People online might say that we haven't done much about it. We did a pod specifically about the protest, and we have posted on a Facebook group about it. So, sorry, carry on.
Maybe I know that vexes you. Maybe if people were banned or something of that sort, they might not have seen that kind of content. But yes, we have covered it, and we'll cover it again today briefly. So there's a protest on the 15th. We think it might be the 16th or the 17th, but probably the 15th, outside the club shop. And do you think, Brendan, that this will quell any of that discontent? Do you think that will sort of halve the numbers of people that are going to be protesting or not?
No, I don't think so. I think the people that are going to the protest, they've made their mind up that they're going. I don't think this announcement changes much in that regard. They'll still go. They're still angry. It's not just about the ESL decision. There's lots of different reasons to be angry with ENIC. And I think that's part of the problem, is that a lot of this movement is quite fragmented. There's no one message. There's nothing driving it. So
there is one message, in fairness. It's that we don't want Levy. We don't really know what else we want, but we don't want them. I think
I think most people are realistic. I don't think people genuinely believe that ENIC will. Oh, here we go. We're off then. Sell it to I don't know, to Michael McIntyre or Anthony Costa from Blue, whoever can afford it. But it's not realistic. I don't think the fans really think that ENIC are going to sell, but they need to make their voices heard. And I fully support the right to protest. They're there. They're annoyed. They're angry with the club, and the club needs to see that. So I don't think this announcement changes much. It's a step in the right direction, but again, it was very done in a way that will just that it's one step forward, two steps back, and them taking a swipe at the trust, which was the last thing that was needed right now. And this apology that came a month late. Again, it's kind of just quite hollow in my thoughts.
Well, let's be really clear. The pod is not an actual thing. We are the podcasters of the pod. And I just want to say, because I got a little bit of vitriol today on the old Twitter sphere, that I absolutely support people's right to protest. If you're not happy, then absolutely, it's your weekend. You do what you like, kind of thing. I won't be there personally, but I don't disagree that there's a lot of things that ENIC could do better. But I won't be going down to protest. We're going to take some Q&A because there is a load of stuff coming in on this before we move on to our next topic. Nick says, the mere fact the club has acted to this extent while we've just had words from the other clubs shows a far more sincere understanding of the damage it causes, at least, but it still feels like a token gesture. Agree?
Yeah, I think like Bren just said, it just feels a little bit too late, really. And I can understand why they're doing it, but I guess it's like I said, you've got to look at the positives of it. It's not going to stop anyone protesting, and it's not going to. I doubt anybody that hates ENIC are going to change their mind because they've come out with this. It's going to be, I think I said there's a mammoth task this summer. There's a lot to do, and part of it is winning fans back over. Yeah. So. Yeah,
and a free sausage roll's probably not going to go that far with that, but we'll come to that in a moment.
No, can we just say I had my most popular ever tweet on Twitter today, and it was about pies and sausage rolls.
We'll come back to it. I promise you, we'll come back to it. I want to talk about it because I'm going. Greg Anderson, it's meaningless. Levy ENIC have control of enough votes that a fan vote will be meaningless. Interesting, but meaningless. I suppose the thing is, if we understand the way that person's voted, and it's a voice, isn't it? It's a voice on the board. I mean, look, I work from a multinational retailer. We have a union, obviously, but we don't do everything the union asks us to do. We sort of take advisory notice from it because it's ultimately a big company and it has a board of shareholders. So surely I know it's a football club and that drives a lot of emotion and it's a really emotive subject, but fundamentally it is their club, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a fan on the board is not going to be able to make them sign Kylian Mbappe just like that. It's just not, they can propose it and the board will go, no.
That's the other thing as well with the lots of rumours going around about what this role on the non-executive role entails. I don't really think that it should involve anything in terms of on the pitch who we sign. That's not. I don't want a fan making those or involved in those decisions.
Trust, is it?
Well, no, but it's about other decisions like changing the club crest, like changing the club colours, changing location, the things, ticket pricing, accessibility, overseas tours, things that fans care about. I don't think fans should be involved in the footballing matters. That should be down to footballing people. Daniel Levy isn't one of them, but nor is it a fan from one of these groups. I don't think they should be involved in any.
Some brilliant suggestions on Twitter today. Some absolutely brilliant suggestions on Twitter today. Basically along the lines of, well, will this fan have the yay or nay on transfers? If we want to sign someone, will they be able to veto the transfer or suggest transfer targets? Can they suggest transfer targets to Hitchin? And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, all right, yeah, that's fine. The average bloke. I tell you what, we'll just appoint the cleaner to the main board of directors as a non-executive director in where I work, and they can tell us which company to buy next. It's just nonsensical. I mean, please, guys, please. And on that note, TJ says, call her El Presidente. I think we agree with that.
I knew you'd put that comment up.
Dave Harris says, Teflon Dance throws the Supporters Trust under the bus. I think
a little bit,
but not so much that they're completely squashed.
I don't think they're under the bus. I think, like I said, I think it's just bitchiness, and I think that I don't really know what they're trying to achieve. I think they've just got the arse. Like the trust went for them at the end of the day, didn't they? They said they should all resign. So if you're Daniel Levy sitting there, you're going, hang on, you're going to tell me I need to resign from the club that I own.
I own this club, and you're telling me I've got to go.
Yeah. So I can understand it's a fractured relationship now. That's the other thing. They need to repair that. So I'd imagine that the board will respond within a few days. They're really good, and they just make sure that it's very thorough and well reasoned, and they'll make a statement back, and then hopefully some dialogue will recommence.
Yeah, let's hope so. Sam Fisher. If the Tottenham Hotspur Sports Trust won't meet with the current board, they aren't going anywhere. They will never meet, and the Tottenham Hotspur Sports Trust will then be truly representing their members, will they? If the Tottenham Hotspur Sports Trust had met the club, they might have been involved in this and made a joint statement and started a healing process. Do you think there's lessons the trust can learn from this, Franco?
No, like I said, they were annoyed at the time because the club hadn't consulted with them at all. And like Brendan said, they'd lied to them. They had a meeting in December and they brought up the ESL. They were told no. So, of course, you're going to have bad feelings about that. You're not going to just be like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, you completely undermine the relationship that we have. And then we'll meet with you. And we won't do it in in no agenda where we can't report back what you've told us. It's just stupid. So I think they were right to say, no, hang on. We'll consider where we are. We'll consult our members because at the end of the day, they are a members' trust. They consulted the members, made the statement, and that's how it should work. I'm sure they'll patch things up. The trust is well supported, and they're the best conduit for us to engage with the club.
Absolutely. After me. Sam Fisher says wasn't a swipe at the TX, it's a statement of fact. So yeah, we get that and take that into consideration, Sam. Phil Ambrose, fair play to the choose room for not jumping on the protest bandwagon that seems to have taken over Twitter. To be honest, Phil, I hadn't noticed that there was a sort of protest movement on Twitter. Follow me at choose room OC. And Brandon says the solution here, Sam, is for the club and the trust to media. Yeah, exactly. They've got to mediate and sort of get together.
And that's an interesting point about the FSA as well, because there's stuff going on in the background. There's stuff going on at government, and we don't know what's going to come out of that. And hopefully all of the supporters trusts are going to work together, and they're going to try and improve the situation of football for the fans. That's at the end of the day what we all want. So I think it's really important that, like I said, the different sports groups work together to come to a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Barry, HG for president. Jeez.
HG would have everybody killed.
He probably would, actually. I mean, we'd start with Lamella, obviously. Lamella outside the statue. You know, my friend used to live in Saudi Arabia, worked over there opposite a prison, and there's a place called Chop Chop Square where they used to do the chopping on a weekend for entertainment for people. And I can just imagine HG there with his cleaver. Come here, Lamella. Let's take your left foot first. You're screwed.
Take your Rabona foot. Yeah, you won't be doing those again.
Your Rabona foot. We don't want to see that anymore. Alina, if the fan representative doesn't immediately call for Lamella to get a statue, I will want him gone with his Rabonas and the wider youth of Wiltshire. He just demands a statue just for HG.
Comment of the night.
Yeah, I think that's just one for me. That's excellent.
I'd love that. If you could buy like a figurine of Lamella in his Rabona action, take my money. Take my money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd buy one for HG as well for Christmas.
Can you imagine HG's face?
What's this? You smash it against the wall.
David Harris says, let them eat pies and sausages, says Marianne Antolevi. Very good. Very good.
Just on that, do we know what the deal is with the food? Like, is it just one pie?
I'm coming, Brendan. I'm coming. I know food excites you. It excites Franco. It excites me. Trust me. We are coming on to it. I think we know the answer to who ate all the pies will be next Wednesday. And Anna also goes on to say, it makes me laugh that most of the replies to Spurs statement are complaining about recruitment, like the supporters on the board are going to have a say on what players we bring in. And I'm not laughing at people, but you're all idiots if you think that.
And the point is, I think I said this off air, is that we don't agree on that anyway. Like the idea that fans are going to come to a consensus of, yes, that is a good player. If you go on social media, for every 50 people saying that player's who we need, you'll get another 50 saying he's rubbish. Yeah. So no one would be happy with that either. Like you're better off just having Steve Hitchin, having a guess.
Maybe not Steve Hitchin, but yeah. There you go. Paul Muir says, "Can I work in Chop Chop Square?" Maybe. And Nicholas Svensson says, "Better late than never, but when someone shows you who they are over and over again, you've got to pay notice. Stratford not back in Pochettino, the ESL, the owners have shown us who they are." Yeah. I think that's true.
In many respects, they have. That's true. And this is the thing: we're not pro ENIC, we're not pro Levy at all on this pod. No. We just don't like talking about those things when we do match reviews. This is it. So I think there's lots of things you can accuse Levy of doing, and they'd be quite right in doing so. So, but at the moment, what is the solution? They're not going to leave. So what's the point in wasting time about it? That's my thought.
It is wasted energy. 2.2 billion quid for the club or thereabouts, and then you've got £1 billion of debt on top of that, and then people want to spend Man City money. Well, they've put £1 billion cash in players.
More
than that probably, but so you're talking about someone who's got a disposable income of around 4.5 billion quid just to literally splash. Who's going to do that?
Well, I've been saving up, but I haven't quite got enough there. Give me another 2 years and I might make it.
A bit of a crowd start. I mean, let's get a crowd.
Adele, I might have that.
Adele's worth about 10 million or 20 million or something. I'm not quite sure.
150. I've looked. Like I said, Adele is the richest Spurs fan. She's got 150.
All right, we can combine make like a Power Ranger with various different rich celebrities, Spurs fans. So Steve Nash got a bit of dosh. Anthony Costa sold 15 million records. He's probably got a bit. He's coming on the pod soon.
So, you just wanted to get the fact that he's on the pod with you on Thursday in there, didn't you? Yeah.
But yeah, again, it is a futile ask. No one's going to buy the club.
The woman off Star Trek?
Yeah, we're just naming famous Spurs celebrities that haven't got enough money to do it. Look, Warren Buffett the other day basically said that they're looking for investments of like £80 billion. They've got to invest in stuff. So we could get Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett only buys things that make him money. He would be worse than Daniel Levy.
Most people with lots of money do, Caller. That's the thing that people don't seem to realise. That's why they want us to get some oil magnate or somebody that's got money through nefarious means, because they'll just happily splash it. That's the future of football.
Yeah, splash the oil. I mean the cash. Right, we're going to switch gears slightly and talk about a subject on the same sort of thing. So I'm going to the football next Wednesday. I won in a ballot, which is lovely. You didn't even enter the ballot, Franco, because you're a man of principles. And I don't mean principles, I mean the clothing company. Senior wardrobe, it's terrible. And Brendan, you're obviously in a foreign country, so there's no chance of you coming over here right now. But 60 quid. Bren, what's your view on that?
I said on this video, on our pod last week, they've got to throw a pie in. And he did. What is the deal with it? Because that's the thing. Like, if it's 60 quid, but you get loads of shit with it, I'm in. But 60 quid for a dead rubber against Villa.
What I want to know is how is the pie promotional mechanic going to work? Are we going to get a little voucher, do you think? Or
that's what I want to know.
In my my dream scenario is I go in and I'm greeted by a man. He's like, "Hot dog, sir? Hot dog?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll have a hot dog." And then
it's not a wedding.
I literally, like little.
What did you go to?
And then I literally work my way around the food counters. Counter number 1. Oh yeah, we'll have some pasties. Thanks very much. Yeah, that'd be nice. Counter number 2 is the burger. I can't remember what it's called now. It's been that long. But the place that does burgers and those really nice hot dogs. I'm gonna have one of them. I'm gonna have a couple of pints, and then come back at half time for more. Do you think that's likely, Franco?
No, I think you'd have pies, sausage rolls, maybe a wrap. And that'll be it. And I think something. Yeah, they did. I had one. They had like a fajita type wrap thing. It was rank vegetarian. It was honestly hotter than the sun. I had to leave it for I bought it before the game, and I had to wait until half time until it was cold enough to eat.
Are we talking hot, spicy, or hot like temperature?
No, hot temperature. It was quite bland. Anyway, I think it would just be a selection of pies, sausage rolls, and I think there'll be a limited number, and it will basically be first come, first served, and there'll be an absolute storm for it. And then all the local kids that work there from the thing will just be there going, "We ain't got none, mate." And then all the Spurs fans will be going, fuck you, Levy, and having another moan.
Fuck you, Levy. This is what I've got left over from my pie. Catch. Yeah, I can see it now.
You'll be like, you can have some pastry crumbs if you want.
I mean, HG's obviously watching. HG says 10k fans, 10 equals 10k pies available. First come, first served, and you can eat what you want. I mean, that sounds
pretty much.
If that's the case, I may not be as big as I once was, but I can still barrel a few people out the way, 100%.
It would just be the tap-ins will be the only things that open because they won't open. I mean, the long bar might be, but all the food options around there, I don't think will be open. So you won't be able to get your fried chicken, pizzas, chips, all that stuff. I think it will just be the basics that they can put in a microwave or whatever.
I hope you're wrong. So hope you're wrong. I'm going to love it. I'm going to be streaming this live. Caller goes round and eats as much shit as he can at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I will get my £60 worth Daniel Levy, mark my words.
That's the content that the cheeseheads want, isn't it?
It is absolutely. It'll be like caller cam.
Here's me eating a pie.
Here's me eating a pie. And I've had to. I mean, the seating arrangements are weird. So I logged on today. I've seen lots of complaints online about the way the seating online site works. Never had a problem with it before, but it was difficult to click on the dot today. But I eventually did click on the dot, but I went on about an hour late. So I think anything lower would have gone. I'm in the south stand, upper on the sort of in one of the wings bit, not all the way to the back or anything like that. So I tried to get it sort of in the corner. So I'm in that little bit there. In fact, just about behind Brendan's head in that photo. So I think about there. But I've worked it out. I'm probably about level with where Levy sits, so I can shout abuse if I need to.
You can throw a pie at him. Pie in the face. You'd be a hero. Here's your pie. Is what I think of your pies. Make sure it's piping hot like Franco's rap, and just pie him in the face.
On the head.
You get third-degree burns. Trust me.
So that's the food scenario. What do you think of the price then, Franco?
Well, I don't think that it's another misstep where they were just like, well, we would normally charge about £60, but because there's people that will be in seats that normally cost £150, I think the normal price for a category B would be, in my seat in the South Stand, something like low 50s, like 52, something like that. I think is.
I looked mine up. It'd be about £70 where I'm.
No,
it is.
Really?
Cat B, yeah. Well, my season ticket's bloody expensive.
How much is yours?
It's like £1,350.
Oh right, yeah, you're mugged off. Yeah, mine's like 900, so it's about 52 quid, something like that. So they've just taken a figure in the middle. But the thing is, when I said this to you originally, you were like, "Well, that's reasonable, isn't it?" And I'm like, all of the goodwill that like charging half price would get for this, it's a complete misstep. So now they've shit themselves. They've realised that Arsenal, Man U, whoever else was like in that list, Liverpool, are charging much less, and they're going, "Oh right, we'll just give them some free food." But even then, it's caveat, isn't it? No
and
drink,
a free digital program.
It's just hot food, anyway. Which you can't even get pick and mix or like sweets or whatever else they'll be giving out. So it's just
you don't know yet. You don't know. They might get in there. Daniel Levy in a hot dog selling hat, with his tray. Might be.
So basically, you're paying 60 quid for a game that other clubs are giving away for 30 quid, and you're getting probably like £5 worth of food costs, something like that. So they're still making lots of money, and I just think it's just exactly what Levy's about. I'm not surprised at all. I bet he's there going, shit, we need to make some money, and any way they can, they'll do it. I'm maybe I'm naive, but I just think they've looked at it like you said, gone, well, what's the average price? Right, charge that, and not realised really that fans been away for it. It's just naivety and stupidity rather than maliciousness. Yeah, and that's acceptable if you haven't proposed to do a breakaway European League with the ESL, and if you haven't done all the other things that they've done. You'd be like, right, how can we make this up to the fans? That should be the mentality, but they're not thinking like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way people like me think, unfortunately, sometimes. But what I would say is, yes, my first reaction was that wasn't particularly unreasonable. Guys, if you're watching, we've got about 30 people watching this on and off, currently live with us, which is great. Thanks for spending your evening with us. We appreciate you, and please do hit that subscribe button. But could you also, while you're there, just drop in the comments box if you think it's reasonable or not reasonable, because I just want a rough idea of what people are thinking. Are you with the caller, or are you with the general?
The general.
Paul Muir's got a good suggestion: Caller versus food. Definitely. Caller eats food, which is kind of a variation on that. Thanks, HG. And Franco's diabetes double. But I think that's discriminatory. Now I've got diabetes, so we can't use that technique anymore. And Brandon says Tottenham Hotspur Stadium converted into a giant Costco for callers eating pleasure. Yeah, absolutely. Right, what do I want to talk about next? Right, management. Brendan. We talked about this, I know, last time out, and we'll probably talk about it many more times before the announcement is made. Who is currently in the running? Have you managed to swat up on the bookies' favourites at the moment, or your favourites? Or shall I
don't bet, so I don't know any betting sites that would show the odds or whatever. But I just from listening to watching the news and stuff, Brendan Rodgers still being touted. They were saying like that final game against Leicester could be, if us denying them Europe, we can't make Europe, but if we deny it and Liverpool take it, for example, then Rodgers comes to us or something.
Do you really think? I mean, that's the saddest case of recruitment of a manager ever, isn't it? Surely.
Have you seen our recruitment in the last few years? It's in line with what we're doing.
Oh, you haven't made Europe, so he's like, oh yeah, all right, I'll come to you then. I mean, really?
I wouldn't mind Rodgers, but he's not my number one. I still think Ten Hag's in the game. I think that Ajax upping his contract was them activating a clause, first of all, and second of all means that they'll get more compensation. I still think that Ten Hag is in there. I know he's gone very quiet on that front. Potter doesn't really excite me. He's won how many games in the last year?
Eight, I think.
Not many. Yeah, I mean.
Well, no, I
and
can't
same
remember
with
who it was on
Parker.
the Patreon track. Again, if you're not a patron, check it out down below. But yes, I'm sure a patron pointed out he's won 8 games this year. It might have been Paul, actually. He's won 8 games. We don't want him in charge of our club. Okay, I've got here you go, Franco. I've got the bookies odds. So Inzaghi 2-1. He's a newcomer, new money.
What I really think with the bet with the bookies is that they just pick somebody, make them favourite, people bash a load of money on there, and then it turns out to be nonsense and disappears again. It's a money making exercise as much as anything. I mean, look, Scott Parker. I still think I'm just looking. Ten Hag is 25-1 now. He's below Pochettino. Is more of a favourite than Ten Hag.
You're the only one that thinks Ten Hag is likely, Brent.
Yeah.
So do you want me to put a couple of quid on?
Yeah, if I was going to put money on, in fact, Graham Potter, I still think is probably the most likely choice, and
he's at 8-1.
He's the third favourite, but Scott Parker's second favourite. I don't know how he played for us. So what? He's not there's no other affiliation with Spurs. He's just managed to get his team relegated. I just don't see it. I think that Potter is a more experienced and he's achieved more in the sense that he's keeping them in the Prem. So, yeah, I think a lot of people seem to be more one round to Potter, and he seems to be the one that's sort of rising above all the others from the fan base's perspective. It just depends whether the club think that he's the man or not, doesn't it?
Inzaghi, Bren, for you?
It's an odd one. I was listening to the Guardian podcast today, and they asked about Inzaghi. He did quite well at Lazio, and Nicky Bandini was saying that he deserves. He's in for a new challenge. I don't know how good his English is, which I think is important for our lazy players, which is why I'm not a huge fan of getting Bielsa in. I think his inability to speak English would just cause problems. While as incredible as Leeds are playing, it would take a while, and I don't think the egos in our team will take to him as well as the sort of hard-working players that Leeds have.
Bielsa's 25-1 now. He's miles off the favourite.
Yeah, no, I'm not. They are a great team, Leeds, but I just don't think he's the one for us. But we're talking about the structure of the team, of the club, and the footballing decisions, and I think we do need to go back to a director of football style where the footballing decisions are taken away from Levy, or Levy relinquishes some of them to a director of football. And Rangnick has been touted a lot, and as HG said, he's the sort of mastermind behind the RB sort of the Red Bull teams around the world. So he would be one that I don't think you get on with Levy, though. That's the issue. But I think we do need to have a better structure in place to maintain continuity when managers come and go, that the players just don't give up, that there's some kind of structure in place, because there doesn't seem to be that at the moment.
Well, so Inzaghi 2-1, Scott Parker 4-1, Potter 8-1, who HG's pointed out he's got 4 years left on his deal. Will Levy pay to get him out of contract?
Frank? He's probably been paid about 50 quid a year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He probably won't got a lot of money, so probably yes. Brendan Rodgers 12-1. Conte, he's the one. If I could pick anyone on this list, he would probably be the one for me. I know he managed at Chelsea. But he did a fantastic job there. Let's be honest. Would you like him, Bren? Maybe.
Yeah, I'd be. I mean, he's just won the title with Inter. They lost 3 games all season or something crazy, like just a mad. His intensity is infectious. I'm worried he's a bit of another Mourinho, if I'm honest. That he's sort of tough love. I don't know his tactical style. I just remember that Chelsea were just. They won 18 games in a row under him, and that's what meant that we couldn't win the title that year, because when you accumulate that many points in a row, it's impossible to catch up. So yeah, he wouldn't be bad. He's not, again, similarly to Mourinho, he's not going to stick around for a while. He's not that sort of manager, but he'll come in, boot up the arse and get the players playing. I'm just a bit concerned. I don't know
more
if
inspirational
his approach.
Than Mourinho, isn't he? You would imagine. He's a bit more progressive as well.
Yeah, I'd suggest. I think that there are many similarities there, which would be my concern. But he's a winner. I would take him for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then you go to Nuno and Roberto Martinez. I'm pretty sure no one wants Roberto Martinez. Surely, if Levy really wants to piss people off, that's the appointment, isn't it?
He would lose the fans so quickly if he came.
Pochettino. I'm going to cover this because I've seen it a lot of times, and I just want you two's opinion on it. Really, would you rehire Pochettino if he gets the sack at PSG? Which, by the way, if they don't win the title, could be feasible. But would you want him? I mean, my opinion is you shouldn't go back. Not this close to being fired, anyway. Franco, you're shaking your head. Your view?
Yeah, no, I share that agreement entirely. It's just too soon. I've got no problem with Poch coming back. It would be great at some point, but I think he needs to go out there and experience managing at different clubs. And he's at PSG. They're not going to get rid of him just because he didn't win the Champions League.
No, but if he doesn't win their league, domestic.
Yeah, it's very tight. As long as they get Champions League football next year, I think they'll be all right. And he's not done brilliantly. I don't think he's pretty much on a par in terms of the team. Because who is it? There's Lille and there's another team. Is it Monaco? Can't remember. And really, he's not done better than them. He's not improved upon results. So it's a tricky one. But there's loads of idiots playing for that team. He needs to have a bit of a summer shuffle, ins and outs, and then go again next year. And I'm confident he'll do well at PSG. And yeah, it's that romanticism, isn't it? We want what the greatest times of experience recently, but
that's it. No one loves Pochettino more than me. I absolutely love the guy. I do.
You love that Trump statement, don't you? Nobody is less of a racist than me.
I'm not a racist.
Neither's Donald Trump, apparently. But yeah, all right. No one loved Pochettino more than you. Maybe his wife and his kids, but don't worry about that.
No, absolutely not.
Jesus Perez.
Bielsa loved him.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Perez.
Bielsa loved him.
You've got me there. Jesus Perez. Bielsa went and rubbed his thighs at night, so maybe there's 2 people that loved him more than me.
But it's just a lesson, isn't it? Don't go back. It really works out, and give it some time. Just give it some time, peeps.
And I tell you what, the other one, the interesting one, Ragnar Lockbrook or whatever his name is.
Rangnick.
Yeah,
Rangnick.
He's dropped off the radar, hasn't he?
Ragnar Lockbrook.
I loved his name.
He's a bit of a control freak.
Ragnarok. He sounds like an Avenger. I wanted him to be the manager just because of the superhero associations, but he's disappeared. Where's he gone?
I think with him, I don't think it would be management. I think it would be structural with him. Like, bring him in, let him choose the manager for him to puppeteer, I think that's the approach with him. But he's not. Don't think he'd be the manager. I think was it Schalke was the last team that he did well with.
I'm
trying to
laughing
remember, but
because I've just seen right at the bottom the 100-to-1ers, right? Alan Pardew,
Campbell.
Derek McInnes, Emma Hayes. This next one's the one. Sol Campbell,
yeah.
Tim Sherwood, and
Sherwood.
Wayne Rooney.
Get those three together as a trident of footballing might. That'd be amazing.
It was
Sol
like
Campbell
when John Barnes and Jason McAteer took over Tranmere. Just like, what is this? Why are these people? They're not managers.
Do you reckon anyone's put any money on Sol Campbell? What was it, 100-1?
100. Well, someone must have done for him to have him in the race just for a laugh.
Just throwing your money
Probably
away.
him. Probably him
If
just
Sol
to remain
Campbell,
relevant.
Yeah, exactly. He's like phoned up. Oh, apparently Sol Campbell's in the running. Who's this? Bye. Like if Sol Campbell was appointed manager, the stadium would be on fire within about 10 minutes. You can't just see it in the distance. Oh, what's that glow in the distance? Sol Campbell's been appointed Spurs manager. Oh, all right. Set fire to everything.
Dear.
Burn it down.
People are saying, right, in response to the price too expensive for dear Robert Greenlaw, not reasonable. Paul Mill, very reasonable. HG, £60 is too much. Phil Ambrose, it's the normal price. I didn't bat an eye when I saw the price, but it's expensive compared to other teams. That's pretty much like me. Neil Williams, £60 is way too much. Should have been 30 at most. Alex H, not reasonable, missed the opportunity to make a gesture. Totally agree. TM, not reasonable, given all the events that have taken place in brackets, so that tends to suggest it would normally be reasonable. Chris Barry, I'm from Yorkshire, so I'm a bit of a cheapskate. 60 is a wee bit too much. Trev Park says should be free like Burnley. Yeah, I mean that's dreamland, I think, but you know. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, TJ says £60 too much. David Harris says Financial Times are running exclusive tomorrow morning. A well-known Monaco financier, Rosie 47, is going to bid for the club. Well, I mean, you heard it here first. Thanks, David.
Isn't that Harry Redknapp's horse or something?
That's Harry Redknapp's fake bank account. Yeah, he's making a joke.
Okay.
It's gone completely over your heads.
I half got it.
No, well, you know.
David, you need to make your jokes a bit more basic, all right?
Can you make them more lowbrow for me, please, David? Because that's, you know. But Gray C says caller for fan rep, and he says it twice. I'm gonna take that. So there you go.
Who are these people you're paying? Who are they?
I'm not paying them. Shut up, Franco. Just because no one said Franco for fan rep yet, there's no need to be bitter.
Wouldn't want it.
Tweet, I should be the fan rep. You did.
No, I didn't.
0.07% of your followers.
No, I didn't. I didn't
do
say that at any point. Franco, who's the lad you had on the pod with you the other week? Was it Saint?
No idea,
Cenk.
mate. Don't know what you're talking about.
Cenk. Yeah. He put it out there. I just want to nominate myself for the board. And I don't think he thought anyone would notice, but I noticed, so I called him out on it. That's what the caller does. Anything else from you guys before we wrap up?
Oh, we're done. Nice.
45 minutes nearly, so you know that's long enough to spend in the company of you two, really.
No, cheers for listening. Do we think what do we think we're going to finish in the league now, caller?
I don't really care, to be honest. I just don't. We're not going to finish.
All right. No. We've done this one to death. Let's do a better one. Who's your player of the season? Who are you going to vote for?
I've had the voting form through. I get 2 votes because other half's a member as well, and she's not interested. So, Harry Kane, it's got to be in it. He's not won it, for like 3 years or something. Because Son's like cleaned up every year. Son's had his most productive season as well, though, but he's been crap for 4 months of it. Kane's been consistent. He's leading the assists and the goals, and a golden boot potentially. And I feel a bit bad for him really because he's not won it in ages.
Yeah, a little bit in desperation. Like, please stay, Kane. Please stay, son. It's like could be a fundamental choice.
I don't think we need to ask them. They've got long contracts. Well, Son hasn't, but Kane has.
All right. And are you going to stay for the lap around the stadium?
What day is it on? It's on a Wednesday. I've got nothing. I mean, I've got daddy daycare on the Thursday, so really I could stay as late as I might come and bunk in with you actually.
Yeah. See, that'd be good. Call a live when the players come around with their kids. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I thought you were going to say it'd be really nice to bunk in with you.
Oh no.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll drive back then.
Having you turn up drunk at 11 o'clock.
Well, yeah, if I'm drunk, I can't drive back. I'll just get on the underground, get to your gaff, and we'll hit the town, mate. We'll hit the town.
Well, you didn't ask me my player of the year, by the way.
You can't vote, Brent.
That's true.
Why not?
You can't, because it's members and season ticket holders only.
I'm a member. I'm a One Hotspur member. Does that not give you a vote?
Yeah, that gives you a vote. Yeah.
Who are you voting for then, Brent?
So I'm looking at the comments. I'm with TJ.
Who you voting for?
Well, Kane's the obvious one, but Lloris has been outstanding this season.
Actually,
I think.
he has.
So,
do you know what? Everyone wrote the guy off as well, didn't? Oh well, not everyone, but Twitter wrote the guy off massively last season. And this season, at the start of this season, people were saying, "Oh, we can't have him in goal." Seems to happen every year, actually.
It's weird though. Gradually, like you remember when he first came and he used to rush out if the ball crossed the halfway line. He was like, "That's mine," so he eliminated that from his game. And then his kicking this year, I don't really think his kicking has been too bad. We've played a lot short, and he's just gradually sort of got a few mistakes out of his game. And this year, like some of his saves have been fantastic.
By the age of 45, he'll be a well-rounded goalkeeper.
I was going to say, by the time he retires, he'll be world class.
I hope he stays. I hope he doesn't go. It'd be really nice for him. I mean, it'd be lovely for Spurs to lift a trophy, but it'd be really nice for Hugo because I think he's got to be our longest-serving player, hasn't he, by a mile, I would have said.
Anderson,
right?
I think, would be up there, but yeah.
Who? Sorry?
Apart from Danny Rose.
And in terms of the league era, what do you mean right now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, yeah, then yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mean. Oh, never mind. Whatever, Brent. Yeah, it'd be nice. I think he stuck with the club through thick and thin, really, because we were pretty shit when he came. And he signed a very long contract with us, I think, at one point, and he's shown massive commitment to the club. I think you're right. I'd be quite happy to give him that, but maybe I'll split my votes. Kane gets one, Lloris gets the other. But we all know Son.
I also like the way that Hugo says teddy bears. You see, remember in the documentary when Son and him had the fight, and then they make up, and he's like, "Behind closed doors, the players they are really teddy bears." So, that's such a cute.
Give him the Player of the Year award. He deserves it.
But we all know that Sonny's going to win it anyway. So
maybe. Yeah. A lot of South Korean members, probably. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. David Harris has come back with a joke. Sorry, caller. How about Winks for player manager? He Spurs through and through. David, you had me at Harry Winks. We're going to wrap.
Or just manager. Manager would be better because then he can retire from playing. So that would make caller happy at least.
I was going to say something really inappropriate, but I'll wait till we're off air. Thanks very much for joining us this evening, Cheeseheads. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and, of course, the podcast available on all your favourite providers. Thanks for joining me, Bren.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for joining me, Franco.
No worries, mate.
All right, and in the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs.
Vamos, Spurs.